Well, hello there. In this video I'm gonna show you a few tips and tricks how to get stable video without any expensive gimbal or anything, just using your even that cheap DSLR. If you are like me, you are low budget filmmaker and you struggle with stable video. You want to have stable video without any gimbal or anything. So in this video I'll show you a few tips and tricks I use to get stable video. The most important thing for a stable video, if you don't have gimbal or anything, is your body. Whether you are standing still or moving or even walking, how you use your body is maybe the most important thing. One trick is to use the strap. If you have strap in your camera and use it tight around your neck and your arms are on your side like this. You are like having this weird seizure, but that way you get this almost like a tripod on your body here. So you have 3 points that are holding the camera still. The strap and your hands, and the ground is your body. So that way you don't move anything, but basically your body and your hands and the strap are always tight and anchored on your body. That way, whether you are panning shot or even leaning, that way you can get the most stable video every time. It's the best trick I use, and I have cheap glide cam, but I don't use it that much because with this way I'm very flexible. For example, if I'm filming some convention somewhere or I'm more like documenting than making commercial or anything, then you have to be always ready, and if you have glide cam you cannot go very low, and with this you can do everything very quickly, and I really enjoy that. Other very good trick is very simple, and that's having lens or camera body that has image stabilizer. It can be in your lens or inside your camera body. But with this trick and image stabilization you can get very stable video. This is a very good trick when you want to follow someone and film them. You don't have to use gimbal there either. You can just use the ninja walk, which is basically walking with your body stiff, your legs bending, and your step is rolling. So heel first and then you kind of like roll, and that looks very stupid, but it doesn't matter because it gets the job done. If someone sees you in the middle of the city doing that, following someone, don't mind it. Ninja walk is very important if you want stable video when you are walking. So practice that even when you are using gimbal or Steadicam. One good trick is that you can fake the slider movement. So you lean from side to side, so you are doing all the movement with your legs. That way you don't have to use slider anywhere, and you can like come behind the tree to reveal the scene or move around with an object if you are doing product video or anything like that. So that is good. I use that a lot to make my documentary style videos much more interesting, because even the small movements make your video more interesting. It shows the depth in the scene. There is almost like a 3D layer, so you can see the distance of the object better than just having the camera still in a tripod or something. And you can, if you are filming like product on the table, you can show it better if your camera moves around it a little bit. The next good trick is to use slow motion. If your camera can do at least 50-60 FPS or even higher, that helps hide the movement or shakiness in your footage a lot. Because when you film slow motion, you can do much quicker movements because if you move slowly, your hands shake much more and your every movement is much bigger than if you move quickly from, for example, if you do that slider trick I told. So slow motion is your friend, and use slow motion in walking shots with these slider shots, or if you are like filming around the object, it looks much better when you use slow motion. So if you're doing B-roll or something like that, use slow motion if possible. And I try to film everything at least 50 FPS because then I have chance to use slow motion. Of course, if I'm speaking or someone is speaking, I don't use slow motion, but you get the idea. Also, if possible, use as wide lens as possible. If you have a lens like this, go to the widest angle. That way all the movements don't show up that much, like so. The wider the lens, the less shakiness there is. So that's a good trick too. The next good trick doesn't have anything to do with your actual camera or your body, is the post. Like you go to Premiere, you can use warp stabilizer, and that works in every kind of footage you are filming. It doesn't always work if you pump it up too much, or if your video is just too shaky, then it might make this weird wobbly effect. But if the footage you filmed is somewhat good and you want it much more stable, just go to effects, type warp, drag it in the layer, it analyzes it, you render it, and change the % value. That's the most important thing. Don't go 50, it crops it too much and it wobbles everywhere. Go something like 10 or 20, and that's usually good to hide the shakiness, because the warp stabilizer, it warps the image and moves it around, so it crops it a little. So keep that in mind too when you're framing a shot, because you might get too much cut out. And you can use warp stabilizer even if you're not moving, but you are holding camera on your hand and you want perfectly steady. You just choose no motion instead of smooth motion, and here you go. But remember always that your video doesn't have to be perfectly stable. There can be a lot of shakiness if you really want to have intense scene, a little bit like when you are following someone, or you want this more realistic feel, then you can have these small movements, because when you are walking your eyes aren't gliding, or your head isn't gliding usually. So for audience it looks more intimate, like they are more inside your video or movie or whatever you are doing, or documentary. Always have a reason behind something. You want perfectly gliding footage, then you just have to buy gimbal or something like Steadicam. But if you are okay with a little bit of movements, or your arms are like very stable and your body is like a rock, then you can get very good results with just these few tricks and warp stabilizer. Hope those tricks help you, and I'm starting to freeze here, and see you in next video. Bye.